we're going to go on in. I'm excited because I have been to Geelong.
Okay guys, I just tripped over that brick.
Live. The following video is not a polished episode. It is purely the highlights from a live stream investigation. These videos are designed to show you some unique places, give you the history, and give you any happenings that we might have had. Are they paranormal? We'll let you decide. I don't know, can you see it? How beautiful it is? I don't know if you can.
Oh, you can.
You can? See if anybody's home. Listen to that door. Oh my God, there's nobody there. Oh, there he is. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Welcome.
So this is Rob, and we've got Deb tonight. And they're going to explain a little bit about Geelong for you, give you a bit of history, show you some amazing, they've got some great displays here, and it's only going to be a quick peek, obviously, because you need to come and see it for yourself. So shall we go into the... Oh, actually, we should tell them about the ship as we go past.
Let's talk about the shiv.
We're going to talk about it. Oh, yes.
Oh,
Love
how
that.
cool is that? That is a great noise.
And there's the iconic photograph that I love.
Such a good look at the building, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, on Geelong. For those who've never been to Geelong Gaol, when was it built?
It was built in 1853 and it closed in 1991. And it was the third jail to open in Victoria of a set of 12 built for the Victorian Gold Rush. So it's quite an important jail. It's had a lot of different purposes over the years, but one of the more interesting is it was the prison hospital for a long time for Victoria. So prisoners that were sick, dying, injured and possibly having to give birth were brought here from other jails. So it's quite an interesting history.
So it obviously had men, women, children. Children?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
throughout history. So the trifecta, it's really exciting. So we've got a lot of things, artefacts from the jail in our collection, and these are a lot of the more interesting ones that people always stop at this showcase because these are shivs that have been confiscated from prisoners while they were here in Geelong, except for these 6 here are ones that we've actually found while we've been cleaning the jail.
Okay.
So the jail's been closed for 31 years,
Yeah.
and there's still so much stuff that is hidden and has been hidden in the jail. Wow. So we've found weapons, obviously.
So when you say you just found them,
yeah,
are they hidden?
they're hidden in the building. So
in rooms or
rooms in the garden. So these 3 down the end here. So you've got the Dualet shaver,
Yeah.
and that's been melted to make sharp. You've got this this possibly end of a scissors, and the glass that is cut into a shiv were actually found in the garden beds. They were actually found in the visits area. So it was a contacts visits area.
Yeah.
So outside, if you could actually sit with your family or your lawyer or whoever outside, this is where they were found, and they were placed in garden beds under bricks. So obviously people knew where the weapons were if something was to happen outside.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. This one with the baling twine on it was actually came from the 3rd level of the jail, and I actually found that because I had a big blower and we were blowing the dust off the windowsills, and we actually blew that out down into the car park below and almost hit the handyman, which is great. But the coolest thing we found is one night when we were cleaning, we actually found some biscuits, some mummified biscuits up inside the air vents. And we thought, that's really cool. So we brought them out and we had a look.
Yeah.
And then what we found behind was actually drugs. Yeah, and so we actually have Victorian prison dogs actually come and do their training in the jail.
Yeah.
So they're behaviour management dogs and they're drug dogs. So it's really cool. They come in and use the building and practice. And we actually mentioned to them and said, oh, we're finding all this. We're finding sandwiches and we're finding biscuits that have been hidden in these air vents for 30 years. And they're like, yeah, they'll put the food up there. So when the dogs walk in with the drugs, they just smell the sandwich and they walk out. So they said, if you ever find food, there'll be drugs somewhere very close to it.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty
That's
awesome.
Cool. That is cool.
Yeah. But a couple of interesting things is, so the yellow handle, that one just there, was used in the last murder at the jail, Martin Elksar. This one here is the handle of tongs which they probably stole from the medical wing, which is really cool. And then the really cool one is the square handle one here,
Right.
which actually moves.
Do you want to explain what's been happening with that wooden handle shiv?
Yeah, so if you look at that wooden handle shiv, like you can see all our knives are laying on their side, but with that square wooden handle one, it will actually flip up by itself into the position of like if you're actually holding it to attack someone. And we notice it more often than not, maybe 4 or 5 times, and when we're cleaning the showcases, and we think that's really weird. What we thought the first time was that obviously someone had shook the showcase or they walked into the showcase and it's flipped it over. But you can see when we move it, you know, it doesn't, there's not enough movement for it to actually flip to itself, which is interesting. We do have the video cameras here, security cameras, so we have gone back to look at it, but can't find it. But it's interesting, it's happened 4 or 5 times. So we decided to do a Ned Kelly display for the 140th anniversary of Ned Kelly's capture and execution. It just happened to be bad luck for us. It happened when COVID happened. But what we've done to make this exhibition a bit more exciting and a little bit different to normal exhibitions is we're actually focusing on the Geelong people involved in the Kelly story. Obviously Ned Kelly is from northeast Victoria, where we're down closer to Melbourne. So it's kind of surprising that we could find so many people from this area that were actually directly involved in the Kelly story. So it's really, really cool. So when you look at the exhibition, we've got these metal boards, which are meant to be like Ned's helmet, that will actually tell you the story of Ned Kelly. So for people that aren't up to Ned Kelly that much, can understand it. But everyone on the wallpaper is actually the people involved in the story. And one of the most interesting people from Geelong is Alexander Fitzpatrick. So Constable Alexander Fitzpatrick, this guy here. He actually joined the police force in Geelong. Now this gentleman here is the reason of the Kelly outbreak. Without Alexander Fitzpatrick, we wouldn't know Ned Kelly, unless you were living in northeast Victoria and had an understanding of like, they were more cattle stealers than anything. But this guy here, he was stationed to the Greeter police station where the Kellys lived. Now all police officers were told they weren't allowed to go to the Kelly homestead unattended. Fitzpatrick, however, had a thing for Ned's younger sister and decided that he'd rock up to the house by himself. Now he rocked up, he put the word on Kate Kelly, he was thrown out of the house, a bit of a fight happened, and he was injured. Now he rode off to Benalla and told his bosses that Ned Kelly had shot him. Now Ned was well documented that he wasn't there at the time, but the police rocked up and they raided the house. They locked Mrs. Kelly up and her 2-week-old baby in the Beechworth jail for 3 years.
Oh wow.
They locked up Ned's brother-in-law and his neighbour for 6 years. And that is the beginning of the Kelly outbreak, and it's all because of Alexander Fitzpatrick and his lies. Now here, I've got Ned Kelly's death mask. So death masks were made of most of the executions that happened in Victoria. But we've got a really cool object here that out of our collection that we wanted to show you tonight. Now this is the part of an old gun, which is really cool. Now this gun was actually dug up in northeast Victoria, very close to where Joe Burns, well, it was actually dug up at Joe Burns's house site. Now Joe Burns is a member of the Kelly gang. Now, is this Joe Burns' gun? We don't know. But we do know, and it's been aged appropriate to the 1870s, 1880s. So to be found at his house site, possibly his, more than likely his family. But anyway, it's just one of our many objects that we wanted to share with you tonight.
That's cool, yeah.
But if we walk into the other room, a little bit more exciting. So in here, we have the 4 replicas of the Ned Kelly armours. Now, yes, there's 4 armours. So there is Steve Hart's, Ned Kelly, Joe Burns, and Dan Kelly. He was the member of the Kelly gang.
Right.
Now, if you look at the armour, they are slightly different for different purposes. The main difference is that Ned's actually has shoulder pads.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it's not to make him look pretty, it's the fact that he was shooting with pistols, where the other 3 are shooting with rifles. So that's why they've got the big holes.
So they wouldn't be able to bring their arm up, would they?
Up like that. Now, the only difference made to the armour after they were originally made was actually Joe Burns. Now, Joe actually rounded his apron so he could actually ride a horse. But ironically, the triangle bit that he cut off is where he got shot in the groin and actually bled out. Okay. Now, the armours themselves, the original ones, Ned's is in the State Library in Melbourne and is valued at $22 million. Whoa. And is the only thing in a state museum in Australia that cannot be sent overseas without the Minister for Arts and the Prime Minister's signature. Steve Hart and Dan Kelly, the two at the end, are in the Victorian Police Museum, which is about to reopen. So that's really exciting. There's going to be a whole new display around it. And Joe Burns is the only one that's still in a private collection and has been since 1880. And they're probably about 60 kilos in weight. And they were made from ploughs that the boys had stolen from the rich landholders in the region.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Only ever used once, and very interesting. And interesting too, other than Ned, the three others actually died wearing their armour. So there's probably a lot of paranormal activity around the three armours.
Okay.
Interesting.
So do you, I mean, just going to paranormal activity, do you get anything in this particular area?
This room, not so much this particular room, but the other rooms, like we have a display on convict uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 10 different types of uniforms from the First Fleet up until what they wear in Victoria today. We have one uniform, which is an original Geelong Gaol uniform, and we have a video camera at the end. And you can see on the video surveillance cameras that there's two things that happen. One is a mist will come from the hallway up past the showcase and actually go in to the uniform that's from Geelong.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes we'll even actually get like a flash of light that comes out of the Geelong showcase.
Wow.
So that's interesting. But we've got such a large collection of objects here to do, not everything is to do with the Geelong Gaol, but we have a lot of things to do with corrections artefacts from the whole of Victoria and some from Australia. And every time that we bring a new object in, the energy of the building changes and like it ramps up, and it's really, really cool. We'll head into the jail.
Now, before we go, you had footsteps down here, did you?
Yeah, we do.
Didn't you have an experience in here?
Yeah, I had a paranormal experience for me, yes. Okay. So we have common footsteps in this hallway. Yeah. So we're actually in the administration part of the jail yet. We haven't actually gone in to the cell block. Mm-hmm. So all the rooms off to the side here have all got to do with administration purposes for the building. We do have common footsteps in here. So if you're in here by yourself, or our museum staff's in here, or cleaners, we'll often hear footsteps pacing in this hallway. Sometimes you hear voices, sometimes you hear knocks on the door. And we put it down to one of the governors who actually died at the jail here. So we know that he had a fatal heart attack in this hallway and was taken across the road to the hospital where he died. Yeah. So we suspect he's the governor. My experience is last year we had the anniversary of the jail closing. So it was 30 years since the prison had closed. So I had a big ceremony where we invited ex-staff members and different people from corrections attended. Now me, being the muppet that I am, wanted to vacuum this hallway just before I opened the door. I had about 15 minutes before we let the guests in, and got the vacuum cleaner out with a massive long cord, and of course I hadn't wrapped it up properly last time, so it was in a knot. And so I'm trying to untangle it, getting stressed that I'm not going to get it done in time, and very clearly out of the office door, this guard or a governor stepped out in his blue uniform, looked at me, nodded, and then stepped back away. You have to say, it's all good, don't stress. But the coolest part of that story by far is that, yes, he was dressed as a governor, but he was actually in his dress uniform. So it wasn't his everyday governor uniform. It was actually, he knew something was happening for the day.
The special day.
So that's kind of cool.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But the place is very haunted. There's a lot of energy here, and everyone has their stories of different paranormal activities, but there's some really cool activity happening.
Yeah. Cell block?
So this is the circle,
Yeah, the circle.
So everything sort of goes off there. So it's based on the Pentonville system, which of course is that system of being able to stand in a central location to be able to see everything that's happening. So standing there, they should be able to see all of the cell blocks, plus down the south wing and the north wing as well.
Yeah. Would it have been segregated in any particular way, like men, women? In the early days, we would have had women down this end, and we would have had the male prisoners down at the west wing. Mm-hmm. When the industrial school came in 1868, so we had an industrial school for young girls between about 3 and 16. When they came in, they took over the east wing, they took over the north wing, south wing, and there was a wall that was 3/4 the way through here. At that time, they also built a wall halfway down, which you can sort of still see where that was, to separate the male and female prisoners all down in that west wing. So we had the girls at this end, and we had male and female prisoners down this end at the same time. Lasted for about 4 years before they decided that perhaps wasn't the best idea. Yeah. So
So, yeah, but that's how they would have separated it. We had women here until about 1900. After that, they would only be here for very short periods of time on remand. They'd all be thrown up to Coburg, to the female penitentiary that was purposely built on the Pentridge location.
Okay.
So we had 6 executions associated with the jail.
Yeah.
The first 2 executions, which took place on the 9th of November 1854, were actually a public execution. So as you came in, you would have come through the roundabout. Just on the other side of that, on the opposite to St Mary's Hall, there was 2 men lost their lives on the bright yellow gallows, with over 2,000 men, women and children that came out to witness it. So they dropped to their death, and yeah, it was something you used to bring your men, women, and, you know, your wife and your children, bring your Sunday best and watch 2 men lose their lives. The laws changed not long after that, so it became law that the executions had to be held behind the walls of the jail. We actually had that come into effect before England did. So after that, we had a further 4 executions. So we had James Ross was the next one, and he was actually the first regional execution after that law had been introduced. We then had, that was in 1856, we had Earl McQueen in 1858, and then we had James Murphy in 1863, and then the final one, which is the only one actually up on our gallows, it was Thomas Menard in 1865.
Right.
So the earlier gallows, we had a temporary wooden gallows that was out the front of the jail, somewhere on the north side of the jail.
Now, are they buried within the precinct?
Only Menard was, because the jail wasn't actually completely finished. So the jail was actually built in stages. So even though we had the first prisoners come in 1853, it wasn't completed until 1864. So Menard was the first execution after the jail had been completed. So he was buried on site, which we believe is out in the car park, marked by broad arrow. The others would have been taken to the local cemetery.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So that doesn't mean they're not still here.
Yeah.
They are.
This story's so exciting, I need to put gloves on. So, cell 26. So what is really cool about this is we've done a lot of cleaning of the jail, and we've scrubbed the walls down. Because the jail's been closed for 30 years. There's no glass on the cell windows, so it gets quite dirty, quite dusty. So we've got to try and keep the jail at an acceptable dirty level, or an acceptable clean level. Yeah. And when we cleaned the walls, we actually noticed the number plaques here. They're painted yellow for the rest of the jail, and this one was originally cell number 3. It was, well, when we were cleaning the walls, it was yellow and it had a black number 3. But when we were cleaning the walls, we actually noticed we could see the original cell numbers underneath. Yeah. So this is actually originally cell 26. So we actually carefully took the paint off to actually reveal it, which is really, really cool. So then we've got an idea of what the original cell numbers were and how it actually worked out in the jail, which is really cool. Now, that's the first part of the story. The second part of the story is where it gets really cool. So we had a really bad bird problem at the jail, like pigeons, cockatoos, you might have heard. And the owners of the building have been doing a lot of maintenance, and they fixed the fascia boards on the roof to stop the birds actually nesting in the roof. And by doing that, they probably locked about 1,000 pigeons in the attic. The attic is absolutely huge. We came in the morning, and the whole bottom of the jail was covered in bird poo. It was just a mess. And we looked up to the tower, and there's just a flock of birds, hundreds and hundreds of birds just flying around that we actually had to catch and get them out of the building. Once we did that, we went into the attic just to see how many birds were still in the attic. Walking up there just with our phone torches, just to see what was around. And my son actually found what I thought was a Hessian bag. And so I said, we'll bring it down and have a bit of a look at it. Now, when we got it down, we actually worked out that it was actually a prisoner jacket, which is so cool. So it's got the buttons, it's got the sleeve, and possibly used for an escape in the attic. But what is really cool is his cell number is actually on the back. Wow. And the cell number is 26. And we found this a day after we uncovered cell 26 on the wall. So this is really, really exciting. Now it's a very, very exciting find because there's not many convict jackets left in Australia in this condition. So I want to show you what it actually looks like. So what you see just here, it's
look at
amazing. So it's quite small, but I guess we've all grown in the last 100 years. It has the original buttons, and you can see where it's actually the buttonholes are. It's got one pocket that they could use, but interesting for those who sew, there's actually no seams. So corrections have not wasted any material on this. They've actually sewn the material right up to the end. Wow. Normally, with clothes, you'd have a big enough seam, especially in the old days, if you had to repair clothes, there's a big enough seam that's tucked up and around that you could actually unpick, and there'd be enough material that you could chop out and actually fill a hole. But because corrections aren't spending any money on this at all, the penal department, then they're just cutting it straight to the end, which is really cool. The other really cool thing we found out is up here in the, in sort of like the collar area. Now, if this jacket was worn by someone like a farmer or someone working down at the wharfs, what you'd find up in here would be straw. And it was just to absorb the sweat of a man working and just obviously make it a bit more comfortable, a little bit more warmer. But again, corrections would not spare any money on this, and so there's nothing in there. So again, it shows you that the government isn't spending any money on their convict uniforms. But if you turn it over, and you can see just here, is actually the patch on the back, which is absolutely fantastic. And you can actually see 26.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it's absolutely amazing. Hidden for maybe 100 years in the attic, which is just absolutely amazing. So it shows you really that this jail is a time capsule, and probably the rest of the jails in Victoria and South Australia, or just the rest of Australia, have the most amazing objects still hidden, waiting to be found. Now, the day after we found this, of course, it was really exciting, so we went back up into the roof and we actually lit the whole attic up with a whole lot of lights, and we actually found 25 other portions of uniforms up in the roof, which was amazing. Some of the more interesting ones is we found portions of female uniforms, which is really rare, and one of them we believe predates the age of this actual jail, so it's really, really old. And the other really cool one we found was a little kid's jacket, a really tiny little jacket, again to highlight the different people that have been here at the jail. But it's absolutely amazing.
That is amazing, yeah.
We just wanted to show you a couple more interesting objects
Get this out.
at the jail. And one of our interesting characters that has been here that a lot of young people like is actually Mark Brandon Chopper Reid. So he was at this jail twice in the 1980s. Did say this is the one jail he didn't want to come back to, so interesting. So at the moment we've actually got some of Mark's artwork on display, which is really cool. So we've been working with his family to get some cool stuff on display. One of the cool paintings we've got here is of Judge Martin. So if you're into Chopper and you know a little bit about his story, Judge Martin plays quite an interesting role in the pop culture of Chopper. Now, Chopper had a bit of an idea that he'd go into the county court in Melbourne with a shotgun and take Judge Martin hostage. Now, of course, it went a bit pear-shaped. And it's the reason Victoria was the first state or territory in Australia to have x-ray machines when you go into courthouses. But Chopper actually got 10 years sent to jail for 10 years for trying to kidnap the judge. And it's where he ended up in H Division, which was one of the most notorious jails in Australia, and certainly the worst jail in Victoria. Now, for Chopper at that time, he actually had a hit on him by the painters and dockers, so it was unsafe for him to be in H Division, and he actually pleaded with the governor not to send him to H Division, where the governor just said, well, no, you're going to H Division. Chopper then said, I'll be out within an hour. The governor laughed, and then Chopper went and chopped his ears off, and he was out within an hour. So Judge Martin, this was painted by Chopper, and so it's a bit of a homage to his whole story. But I've got three other little objects here out of our collection that I wanted to show you. Now these have come from the Chopper family, so the Reid family, sorry. So I just wanted to show you, interesting. So Mark was known for his meat cleavers, and it's just, hopefully Mark's trying to talk to us. This is one of the really heavy ones. It's actually one of the big ones, and this is what his family told us was actually one of his weapons that he used to carry in Collingwood, and actually, as you do, which is really cool. And it's actually, you can tell by the weight, it's actually really heavy. So it's not one of his ones that he signed later in life for pop culture. It's actually a proper heavy one.
Molecules and running.
Now the two other ones we've got are really quite interesting. So this is a shiv that was actually confiscated from him when he was actually here in Geelong. This is one that he actually made in the jail himself, and it was actually documented at the time that when it was confiscated. Apparently it sat in the governor's office for a long time. And what you can see is it is a bit of glass. It's the mirror that he managed to find, and you've got 2 paddle pop sticks in the middle here.
Oh wow.
And it's actually wrapped in the bandage. So this is a really cool part of our collection that has been in the jail since he was here in the 80s. The other cool one, which we got from his family, is actually a shiv that he actually made when he was in Pentridge, and he took out when he left as a bit of a souvenir. And so the story is that he managed to get into the workshop and steal the trail part just here, but then he got this copper pipe which he then made as the handle for the weapon. And if you hold it, it fits perfectly in your hand, like your thumb and your fingers, so it's really easy to actually stab someone.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're just 3 of our reed artefacts that we've got on display. Interesting, next year is the 10th anniversary of Mark's death, which is be interesting to see if the paranormal actually ramps up a bit more around October, around the time of his death.
Especially with his items and
on display.
on display.
Brilliant. Deb mentioned there's a young girl seen sitting on these stairs, probably from the industrial school days. Now her age, we don't know, but probably around 8 or 10. She seems to be general. People who see her describe her as a young girl who's a bit distressed. I haven't seen her, but my story with this young girl is during our COVID lockdown, when I was in here cleaning, my partner brought us in dinner one night, and we had dinner, and then we left the jail. So we walked through the body of the jail to actually leave, and we had our 2 dogs with us. Now one of our dogs is a real muppet, just bounced around all over the place, didn't really care where he was, just run amok. Our other dog actually ran all the way down here to the base of the stairs and actually laid on her back and put her legs in the air like she wanted to belly scratched by someone.
Okay.
That's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right, we'll head up. So cell 65, come in, we'll have a bit of a look. We had been looking for this cell for a long time because it's quite an important escape, because Angus Murray, once he got out of the Geelong Gaol, he was implicated in the murder of a bank manager in Glenferrie in Melbourne. Now, they were robbing the bank. He didn't kill the bank manager, but he got executed for it. Now, sadly, he didn't do it, which is horrendous. Now, there's been 187 executions in Victoria, and 3 of them have been political, and sadly, he was a political execution. So, just to be re-elected, which is horrendous. So, Ned Kelly was political, Angus Murray was political, and Ronald Ryan, the last man executed in Australia, was political. So, it was really sad. So, for us, we really wanted to find his cell, because next year will be the 100th anniversary since he actually escaped. Now, he escaped by climbing up on his wooden bed with his wooden table and was able to cut some of those bars off, and then he was able to push the bluestone block out. So you can see when you look at the window, you've got 2 lines come down, the crack in the plaster. Yeah. That's the actual rock he pushed out. Now we're in the corner of the building, so sort of where you are, Alison. Yeah. If we were outside, because we're in the corner of the building, the drain pipe comes down, and then at this ground level, floor level here, is where there's an external wall that goes out to the road, to the exercise yard. So he was able to scale down the pipe, run across the wall, and then jump down. He was gone. Wow. Yeah. But this is the cell where we couldn't get in. There's 10 cells here at the jail where the doors don't open. We just can't get the locks to open. The locks are 170 years old, and they just, for whatever, these 10 cells didn't work. And this was one of them. And as Deb mentioned, I walked in the jail quite positive, quite happy. Said, "Hey Angus, today's the day. It's so close to your 100th anniversary to actually escape. Let's try and get into your cell." I went and got the really big cell key, came up the door here and said, "Angus, I need your help, mate." Yeah. Put the key in, clicked over, the door opened by itself. Wow. Amazing. So it's very exciting. So we'll be able to tell the story.
And it never budged.
Never been able, before. Never budged. And because you can see how clean the cell is, I actually had so much gratitude to Mr. Murray that I actually cleaned the cell. But there was a good inch of dirt and dust on the floor that it just hadn't been in here. Yeah. Cool. A cell this size, you would have either 1 or 3 prisoners in this size of a cell. 3? Yeah. Never 2 prisoners by themselves, so either 1 or 3.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and obviously there's no toilet, so you'd be sharing your bucket with up to 3 people. Also, there's no glass in the cell windows. So even when the jail closed in 1991, you're putting one of your 3 blankets in the window to stop the rain coming in.
Wow.
Horrendously cold.
Wow.
Awesome.
Cool. Well,
And I put it there.
that's why we can't have nice things, CAG. Kicking EDI over there. As you can see, we're all pretty much ready and set up to investigate. So I'm just going to check the obelisk and see what it's been
Although I
saying.
did make sense of it, said ocean before.
Oh, did you?
One of you saying it said ocean before. One of the names for the jail, which is actually called by the prisoners themselves, especially when it was a hospital, is they used to call it the Seaside Resort. And that was one of the reasons they actually used this as a hospital jail, is because they could see the ocean and they believed they would have recuperative powers.
Oops, sorry, I'm blinding you there.
For the prisoners that were here.
Yeah.
So
okay.
so that one sort of makes sense.
Well, it's gone now, but it said fools. Fools. Couldn't possibly be talking about us, can we? We thought we'd share Geelong with you. If you come to Geelong, in fact, just come. Just come. It's a great place. Do the Great Ocean Road like we did. Come up to Geelong. Come and do the jail. So yeah, because there's more than just a jail. As I said, there is these displays. We haven't even looked at the crime display that you've got set up. Might as well just
Okay, so
give it a plug, and when you're open.
We've got this amazing exhibition at the moment. It's Crime and Justice through Australian television. So it's Crime Time TV, and we're looking at the history of Australian television through police dramas. So we've got screen news costumes from Blue Healers, Country Practice, Dr. Blake, Miss Fisher, Prisoner, and Wentworth, and Underbellies. But we're actually telling the amazing story of Australian television. So it's a must-see if you like pop culture, if you like crime shows. The jail's open 7 days a week. We're open from 12 until 5 in the afternoons. So yeah, please, if you're around, drop in, say good day.
So do people just come in and just look around themselves, or do you do tours? Are they conducted tours?
Yeah. So basically, it's a museum, so just come walk around. The average person spends about an hour and a half in the building. Coming up to school holidays, we'll be doing escape tours, which will take you to parts of the buildings where people escaped, and we'll actually tell you the amazing story of how people actually got out of the building, which some of them are really interesting.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, there you go. So definitely come and pay a visit and see what it's all about.
Might just move this a little bit further down this way, just out the way from us.
Well, before we start that, do we just want to do a call out and just introduce ourselves? I've seen this great bed in here. I just noticed it, by the way, guys, and I've just trodden on some equipment because we can't have nice things, can we, Kate?
What?
I just kicked the light.
Yeah. You just kicked the light?
Yeah.
One each. So if there's anybody here with us tonight, we'd love it if you could let us know that you're around. We have come from Adelaide, and I'm supposed to say we're from Australia, and it's like, no, we're from Adelaide. So it is a long drive. So if you could just let us know you're here tonight, please, we'd be really grateful. Can you make a noise for us, please? Oh, I put some lights on the stairs there, and in some of these bottom cells. This is where you have to have patience, isn't it?
Yes.
Lots of
And
patience.
if you're wondering where them came from, it's just Deb next to us. He's joined us.
So if there's anybody here with us, if you don't mind answering our questions if possible, just put a box on the floor there. If you could just talk into that little orange light, we'd be really grateful. So my question is, would you be able to tell me what the year is, please?
Deb, want to ask a question?
Yeah.
Go on now. Are you happy here?
Okay, Alison?
The little girl being seen on the stairs there. Can you give me your name, please?
If you have answered all questions, thank you.
They didn't.
No, they didn't. Wow.
Didn't want to talk.
That was a bit rude, wasn't it? Okay, so Estes,
Yeah, I'll put Vox on as well.
do you want Vox first or?
We can run them both.
Okay. You all right?
Yeah, no, I just wondering where to put them.
Sorry?
Something just flashed.
Brilliant new word.
Something flashed.
What about if I go up the stairs?
Yeah, it's about halfway down, something just flashed as you walked up.
Well, maybe I'll go up.
So if there's anybody here with us tonight, there's a lady sat on the stairs there with some funny things on her ears. You can go and talk to her. So,
Their relation.
would you be able to tell me what the year is, please?
Men,
Program.
break.
Home.
Well, men were down this end, weren't they?
Yep.
Promoting alcohol. Hospital.
It was a hospital, wasn't it?
We were a hospital jar for a long time.
Dismiss it.
Oh, interesting. That was at the Vox.
Different.
Were you here when it was a jail? Or when it was a girls'
Last year's.
Industrial school.
yeah, girls' industrial school?
I honestly, prison, but I thought it said chopper before that.
Okay.
Building, terrified.
I'm just going to turn this Vox off, I reckon, because
What have I done?
what did you do? What was your crime? We're not here to judge. We just want to know what you're in here for. What were you accused of?
I'm going to say it's suicide.
Now, back in the day, it was illegal
Please.
to try and take your own life, wasn't it?
They called it self-murder,
Yeah.
but there was a number of suicides.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Heart attack.
And we had a lot of those too.
Dave. Died.
Dave died. I suppose there might have been quite a few Daves that might have died in here. What happened to you?
Debt.
Was it just you that came in here or your whole family?
Hello.
Hi there.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Is they friendly?
That was a short visit.
Very short.
Hi.
Hello.
I don't know if I should say it just said you're fat.
Well, I know I am, so I, you know,
Talk to me.
that's just rude.
Men. Hurry up.
You got somewhere to be?
Leave.
Why do you want us to leave?
Men.
Which men? Are they there to hurt you?
We're here.
How old are you?
–
Do you want to talk to us?
Anything?
No, you went quiet now. You were talking.
Yeah, there's nothing coming through now.
Yeah, it's just gone quiet.
Yeah, no, it was like a whole load of stuff and then it just went quiet.
Yeah, it sort of told us to leave and then went quiet.
Hurry up.
Yeah.
leave, and then just nothing.
No, had enough.
So this is the prison hospital. Infirmary. Wow. It's actually very creepy up here.
Okay, so I'm talking quietly because I don't want to disturb anybody else. Alison is down in the hospital area, which is halfway down Geelong prison. I'm in the very, very end one, which used to be the ladies section. So I had to walk past where the gallows were to get down here. So I've certainly set a few things up. I have set up a little cat ball just outside the door. I've got the EDI in front of the door, and I've got a cat ball on my case in case anybody's interested in my case. And then another cat ball in the corner, and I've got another cat ball just over there. It's in my feet. Thought I'd sit down for this one. Alright, so I'm going to see if we can get anything to happen. Fingers crossed.
All right, if there is anybody here tonight, I don't know if anybody's been up doing this, but just here to see if anybody wants to chat. You can see on the floor there's a string of lights. Now I can't see you, I can't hear you. Unfortunately, you're going to have to let me know. Sorry, just moving my spot. So you're going to have to let me know if you're there. If you can, that would be much appreciated. I can't see you, as I said, and I can't hear you. I'd love to know if anybody wants to talk to me. Just going to put this little box on. It's got a little orange light. I'm just going to put it next to me there. Little tink next to me. You haven't looked in the basket. Something moved in there earlier while I was setting up. I'm just wondering if there is anybody here. Can you give us your name, please? My name's Alison. Just to introduce myself. Bit of movement in here. Also, it's quite creepy in here. That's a knock in the cell next to me. Little triangle on the bed. Oh, was that a little EMF flick on the lights there? And by the way, guys, I've got a light on me forward, but the rest of the room is pretty dark if I turn the infrared off. That's how dark it is. So oh, I've got a light, this little light on me. It is creepy. Not sure. Don't think I've got anything on there. All right. Let's put rocks on.
So, I have to be careful where I put my hands because there's a spider in here. In fact, there's two. Not overly keen, anyway. So, give you peepers. Electronic voice phenomenon. Let's see if we can get anything in here. Okay, so if there's anybody here, I don't wish you any harm, don't wish any disrespect whatsoever. Just want to talk to you if I possibly can. And my name is Cag. Can you tell me what your name is, please? No, I'm not here to judge you. I don't mind what you did. The past is in the past. Could you tell me what your crime was, please? What you were accused of? Be quiet. All right. Doesn't look as though we've got anything at all, which is really annoying, isn't it?
All right, so I've got a little box next to me. You might be able to manipulate that and talk to us. Let's say all you have to do is either talk through that or you're through the lights. The lights are fine. I'm sorry, I just came up to sit with you for a little bit. I understand maybe you don't want visitors. You can tell me to go. You can tell me to go if you want. We are going soon. Oh, air pressure. Are you playing with the light? There's more than an orange light on there, there's a blue light as well. Oh, thank you, that's the blue light, yes. I can hear footsteps. Did you know Cake was coming? There's another person coming. Maybe you don't want a second person here. Haven't you? I had nothing happen until your footsteps and then the EDI went crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like now. Here. It just said here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Cag's here. Her name's Cag.
Hello.
Are you happy to see Cag? You're not talking to me.
That to me sounded like, did you have a good night?
Well, did Cag have a good night?
Yeah, it's been a really cool place. I didn't have anything happen in my cell though, unfortunately.
Oh, was that the strip? Wow, the lights are just going crazy since you walked in. There's absolutely nothing, absolutely nothing.
Well, it's not like I'm
And then it started just as your footsteps were. What about if I put Cag over there? Would you talk to her away from me? You want to do the Estes?
All right.
Oh, lights. Can you manipulate the box?
A prick.
A prick. Were you in here sick?
7.
Did you have an injury? A little bit
As
of a
well as
flash on the lights there.
the head. Out.
Did you
Get.
had to come, didn't it? Did you hurt your head? Is that the injury you had?
Come on.
Come on, what? Come on, get out. We're going in a minute.
My job.
Did you work here?
Tonight.
It's your job tonight to do what? Talk to us?
At 4.
Ooh, that's a yes. That was the flux on the bed. Just triggered. Of course, it doesn't have to mean yes. It could just be that something
Nose.
has just gone past it.
Off you go. Down the stairs.
Off I go down the stairs. So I go. Is that a hint that it's time for us to go? We can go.
Chief.
Chief, were you in charge? Are you the warden that used to look after this place, the governor?
You.
Is your name Dwyer? Is it Dwyer? Heart attack? Are you still here looking after the place?
30.
You probably don't want us here.
It's a little prat.
Do you like having lots of people come in and visit you?
Skill. Mate. Tap.
It's pretty random. Apart from the equipment going off, which was a lot of equipment because there are lots of different triggers as well on there. I think.
Are you banging on the floor?
No, I haven't moved. Why?
Has there been a big truck go past?
No, no traffic.
Okay. Feels
Why?
like there's a bit of a vibration underneath. I know I'm rocking,
Yeah.
but it just felt as though there was a bit of a vibration underneath.
No, my legs are in the same spot 'cause I'm balanced on them with the camera.
Do you want me to carry on or what?
Pretty random. Shall I put them on as well and just see if it'll talk to me
Yeah.
for a couple of minutes? And
Yeah, that's cool.
apart from the hint that you gave us about get out,
Yeah.
and off you go down the stairs.
Yeah, that was weird. Ooh, very blue. What?
What did it say?
Bring the
I thought it said that.
far out.
Bring the
Far out.
Far out.
Ooh, that's a little bit.
So far we've had the flux go off, EDI go off, lights go off.
Oh, cool. The lady that's down there, her name is Alison. My name is Cag. So you could light up one of the lights, please, or get her to say one of our names.
Out.
Okay, here we go. Don't want us in here. Mind you, it is a hospital, I suppose.
Just said my name, Alison.
Oh, how cool is that? That is so cool. I've just asked that.
Central and Northern.
Now, do you think you could try and say...
Robert.
Oh, Robert. Hi, Robert.
Then Rob.
What are the nurses like in here? Or the doctors? Were they nice to you? Hello. How you doing?
It just went piss off.
Okay.
And another one said language.
That's funny. There's no need to swear. I blink. That's a bit weird coming from the Vox, isn't it? I blink. All right. Come on, if you want to tell us something, just tell us. Give us a message.
Sleep.
Yeah, we need that. We definitely need sleep. Do you have anything else you want to say to us?
Doesn't seem to be too much. Little leave then.
Little leave. All right, so I asked them to say one of our names,
Yeah.
and that's when you came out with Alison.
Oh, okay. The piss off was interesting. It was like, piss off.
I had enough.
It was like a real...
Yeah.
But apart from that, I'm not getting an awful lot.
It's like, really? Just leave me.
It just, yeah, whatever's here doesn't seem to want to talk too much. So,
I've had one or two interesting things there.
yeah, we're just not.
That's cool.
But that's the way it goes.
It's true,
It is true.
actually.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you get something and it goes off, and another time you get nothing.
Why are you talking in a play school way?
I don't know. I'm getting tired now.
So, Alison, why are you talking like that?
I wouldn't care. Why do I agree? We're going to wind it up because the time is up at Geelong and I have a 12-hour drive tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So we're going to leave it there. Again, Geelong Gaol, it's awesome. Do come and visit. We had a little bit of quiet night, but we are going to go through this, obviously. And by the time you get to us doing the wind-up, you've probably seen what we've got, or not got. Mm-hmm. But the history is just amazing. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And definitely come and visit. Come and investigate as well. Because sometimes... You had the footsteps last time, didn't you?
I did, yeah, with Deb.
Yeah.
When you were outside, we heard footsteps walking along. You actually heard it go down the step as well. So.
Yeah, so it's definitely got stuff happening here. Just not... You get the impression it just doesn't want to talk to us tonight too much.
No, it doesn't.
But that's
Which is
all
fair
right.
enough.
It's fair enough. We don't have it every time. If it happened every day, it would be called normal, not paranormal. Natural, not supernatural. We just take it there and say, hey, there's a ghost. Mm-hmm. But hopefully you've enjoyed the look around. Hopefully you enjoyed the bit of history. We'll catch you next time, won't we, Cag?
We will. See you next time.
Bye.